Alright, today's video we're going to winterize the truck camper. It's a 2015 Camp Lite Living Lite 8.4S slide, all aluminum. And the way I winterize it, it might be a little bit different than what other people do. We're going to run through some of the steps to try to get all the water out of this thing. Kind of sucks that you got to winterize a camper. It'd be nice to live in a warmer climate to where you wouldn't have to winterize your camper, but here in Pennsylvania, there's no way to keep these lines from freezing and your tanks from freezing if there's water in them, unless you had like an indoor garage, temperature controlled. But when it's sitting in your driveway like this, you got to get the water out of it. Okay, so the first thing I do is empty my gray and black water tanks. In this little compartment here on the side, I've got my gray handle here and the black handles here. I already hooked up my hose, and because I'm at my house, I'm going to lift the camper up. I'm gonna lift the camper up on its legs high enough to where this hose can drain right into a bucket. And then I'm just gonna walk that bucket over to my septic tank and drop it into my septic tank. All right, you can see I'm lifting up. If you look at the hose down here, right here, I want that hose to go like straight up and down right into a bucket. Now when I'm doing this, when I'm lifting this up, I want to make sure that this is level too. So my right side's got to come up a lot. Okay, so that's good enough. Let me flip this around, you can see. Okay, so now my drain hose coming out of my gray and my black is going straight down. I can set it right in the bucket. It's pretty high, and what I did is I made sure it was level, front to back, and then left to right, so that when the camper is sitting normal, no water will sit in the corner of any tank or anywhere, and it should drain properly. Okay, so let's do the worst part of this. Drain this stuff. Make sure you roll up your sleeves for this one. It would be nice if underneath there was a hole underneath with a fitting that just hung down below the camper, so you didn't have to hook up this hose to do this. That would be pretty nice. Okay, here's the gray. And it was a little bit in there. So I'm going to save that and get rid of some of this black first. Oh, that's nice. All right, that's all I can carry. Do you want to see what this looks like? No, you don't. And you definitely don't want to smell this either. So now I'm just going to dump this down into my septic tank. So I'll probably have to go back and forth a bunch of times till they're both empty. And I'll cut the video and come back once that's done. Okay, now that the gray and black water is empty, the tanks are empty, I can lower this back down to the ground. But I'm still gonna keep it level. And I'm doing that because I gotta hop in and out to play with all the faucets. Like I said, if it had a fitting underneath of there, to where you pulled the gray and the black, it could just drain right underneath there. I could just set a bucket underneath there. I wouldn't need to lift it up to put that hose on it. I guess I could make a fitting. I could just get a hole saw and drill a hole saw, then put an elbow onto it. That'd probably be easy. Okay, now that the gray water and the black water valve have been opened and that's drained, I flushed it out with water. There's nothing left in either one. I got my low point valves open. Right there, and there's one back here. And I go down the road and I just leave those open so that all the tanks drain as I'm going down the road, because it's just fresh water. So I let them all go out, but now all this is open right here. So I do things a little bit different than most people online. I'm going to turn every valve open right now. Well, I'll just start with these two, and I'm going to come over here and I'm going to turn on my water pump. And if you listen, you can hear it trying to pump water. and nothing's coming out. That's because I drove down the street with those low points opened. So I don't want that water pump to keep running with no water flowing through it. So the freshwater holding tank, like if you're boondocking, is empty. So these are open. I'm going to go inside the shower here. I'm going to open both of these, and I'm going to push the little button here so that the water can actually come out of it. I will pull the handle on the toilet so the water comes out of there too. And down here, I've got my little hose, and this is for our outdoor shower. So I'm going to connect this. I'm going to connect this right here to the outdoor shower with one hand. No, it won't. Open this. Hot and cold. And I'm going to leave this open. Okay, this is the hot water heater compartment. You can see I already have my pressure valve open because when I come down the street, when I was rolling down the street, if I open this and I leave everything open, this should drain also. But I've got my socket, which I keep in here. It's a 1 1/16, and this is going to take the anode rod out. And that one's pretty new. I just put this in at the beginning of the year. And you can see absolutely no water came out of this. That's because I left it open going down the road. And there's a bunch of sediment in here. I want to show you this. Okay, so here's the hot water heater, and there's the little valve. And look at all this stuff on my finger. All this is right in here. Look how this builds up with all kind of stuff in there. I'm going to show you what I do with that sucker. So they have a little wand you stick onto your hose. I've got a wire brush here, a little toothbrush shaped wire brush. And you can see there's maybe some Teflon tape on there. You just don't want that to get hard. And I'll have to squirt this off with a hose too to clean these threads out in the bottom of the hot water heater. That's a little better. Okay, so I already got my air compressor already full of air, and I put this handle on here with a normal, like a tire gauge on it. And what I bought is one of these fittings. It goes right into like your garden hose, and on the back of it is an air fitting. Okay, I put my fitting into the bottom of the hot water heater. I'm going to close this pressure relief valve. And I can hear water. There's water squirting out right there. If I had a lovely assistant, I could show you. But you can see it's coming out right here. And I can hear inside, it's probably coming out the shower or something. So every valve is open, and it's going out the path of least resistance first. So we're blowing air, it's coming out of the outdoor shower, so that's empty. So I'm going to take this off. Shut these, because that's empty. And now water should come out the next place. Okay, so I can hear water coming out my two low points. So I'm going to close those two low point valves now. Okay, now let's see where it goes next. Somewhere inside. If I had a helper, they could tell me. Let's take a walk inside, see if there's any water in the sinks or anything. Okay, so what happened here? Oh yeah, so there's water on here. This was splashing. These are both on. let's look over here. And there is water here too. So water was coming out of there too. Try to get this a flush. No water came out of that. Okay, so that's all done. Like I said, most of it was all empty just driving down the road by leaving the hot water heater pressure open, and then opening up my low points, and then opening all the valves on the sink and the shower going down the road. So it kind of just drains itself by gravity going down the road. But I just blow the air lines out just a little bit in case there's like a low point in the hose. It'll shoot that water out. I don't think if it froze just that little bit of water, I don't know if that would freeze and crack one of the pipes or not, but we'll give it a try. So now I'm gonna stick this anode rod back in, because somehow in the wintertime, mice will find this hole and they will make a nest inside your hot water heater. So, okay, so the anode rod's back in, my pressure's closed, that's closed, battery's good in there. Make sure my propane's off. Yep. That's good. All my valves are closed down here. I'll close this up. All these valves are closed down here so that no mice get inside this. That's locked up. Good. So just to recap what I did, drain the black and the gray tanks, flush them out, make sure there's nothing left inside that. Then I made sure the hot water heater was empty, pulled out the anode rod, cleaned that out, flushed that out, that's all cleaned. Then I hooked up the air compressor and I blew the lines, had all them open, and the air just flows through, finds the path of least resistance. Once that's empty, shut that one and the air will find the next way. Once that one's empty, shut that one, then the air finds the next way, or the last way, then I shut that off and it's done. So I don't put any antifreeze and nothing because there's no water in there. There's nothing to not freeze. So it's completely empty. So that's it. Just a different way of doing it.